To the surprise of absolutely nobody, Michael won the power of veto because he just continues to win all the competitions this season. It seems like this. He broke Janelle's record that's been going on for a good 16 years, beating all of the records. And it's just like, they knew that Michael was good at these competitions from the beginning, but the women weren't here to play. They were here to just have a vacation or get into a showmance or just hate on Taylor. And then we had Kyle out here worried about all the non-white people, when then Michael's just been the comp beast this whole season and nobody really cared until recently. And now that's the theme of the season, is the end game becomes kind of boring as we limp to an end here, because it's basically, will Michael win out, or will somebody be able to get him out one of these rounds where Michael doesn't somehow win two of the competitions? This double seems like the best bet, because they could put him and Brittany on the block and then hope that he doesn't win the power of veto, because he only has to win one competition, or I guess he only plays in one competition during the double. But I don't know. So far, not so good for these players trying to defeat him. The one kind of good thing that comes out of this is, it's not the typical comp beast that we see. A gay male being the comp beast is way different than the usual bro that we have being the comp beast on one of these seasons. And, Janelle used to hold the record, but honestly, I won't be impressed by Big Brother competitions until the women start doing better in competitions again, because these past few seasons, women do not win competitions on this show very regularly. And I don't know if it's because of the competitions they've been doing the past few seasons, or if it's more likely the way they've casted the women over the past few seasons, where they cast women who they hope will get in showmances, or I don't know. It's just the casting process for this show absolutely sucks. Michael won the BB Comics competition to win the veto. He's winning all of the super fans' dreams that if they would come on the show and win these classic competitions. The most savage BB comic apparently was Kyle's.
Do you remember Kyle's comic?
Kyle's comic was Kyle Reptor, right?
Repkyle.
Repkyle, okay.
Do you remember?
And it was a long tongue.
Do you remember the caption?
Dysfunction.
Reptile dysfunction.
Oh my goodness.
That would not exist for no reason. That is the most disrespectful comic I've ever seen in my life.
Who are these people? What are they doing with these things? You know what? And I read it, and I'm like, it's not making sense. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Same, even like when I was searching the comics, I was like, because
it doesn't matter. I don't have to laugh right now.
Right. And I'm looking at the words.
I'm like, that's clearly an erectile dysfunction mention.
Savage, but hilarious. Another question I've been asking myself is, I've talked about this a lot over the past week, is the possible bitter jury against Michael, especially Terrence's plan to go to the jury and poison it against Michael, which honestly won't be that hard because of what happened within the house with Kyle's almost all-white alliance and Michael and Brittany going along with it until it was convenient to use it as game. I think it's a strong argument against Michael. But, at what point does that even matter? Because if you look at it, if Michael wins out anyway, and you look back, did it really matter that Michael had to use that information because Michael won out anyway? Or does the jury look at it like he didn't have to use that information, but he still did, so we don't respect his gameplay? On this channel, on a game once upon a time, and I get it, everybody, the web games are different than the actual games, but it's still humans and human emotion voting at the games. We've seen where a player basically won out or won most of the last several competitions of the season, but still did not win the jury vote because of a bitter jury, because of the way the player played. So it's still very possible that that happens to Michael. But it also just goes back to who is Michael sitting against at the end. Should they really vote for a player like Brittany or Alyssa over Michael if one of those two are the final two with him? Would the jury respect those two enough to do that? I'm so sick of Brittany's game, or lack thereof. She continues to waste all of our times with the way she is playing, because it's bad enough to watch a season end game where a player might just win out, because it is boring. I hate to break it to everybody. It is very boring to watch, because it's not like these competitions are awesome to watch as it is. This isn't the challenge. We don't have people on top of moving trucks trying to win a challenge. We have people looking at pictures and having to answer questions about them. So if that isn't bad enough, we also have a Brittany in this game who is willing to go to the end with the comp beast and be okay with getting second place, wasting all of our time. You know, Brittany, the first few weeks, I've always hated her personality, but I was giving her credit for her gameplay because she at least seemed to have some good reads on the house. But unfortunately for her and for all of us, she just hitched herself to Michael and has been okay with being second place and being okay with his bad reads getting it most of the time and him dismissing her reads. And then she goes around throwing some other people that aren't Michael working with her under the bus constantly. She's been really trying to throw Taylor's game under the bus the past few days. But the funny thing is that she's been failing in doing this. She had a conversation with Turner trying to throw Taylor under the bus, had a conversation with Alyssa trying to throw Taylor under the bus. And after talking with Brittany, it seemed like they were more convinced to work with Taylor than anything. So Brittany doesn't even do a good job of that. So this might be a controversial take, but as Gen Zers would say, it's my truth, okay? I think that I would much rather, if it came down to Alyssa or Brittany winning, two players that would be considered the worst winner ever, I would much rather have Alyssa win this game than Brittany, because Brittany has wasted all of our time. She hasn't done anything worth winning whatsoever. She's been playing for second place, and that's the kind of player I hate the most as a game player. Whereas Alyssa, sure, she hasn't done a whole lot of anything other than use her puss to get ahead in the game. But I don't know. I would still rather Alyssa win than Brittany. I know people still worrying in my comments that Alyssa could win this game. And yes, Alyssa would be a terrible winner. But I'm sorry, Brittany would be worse just for wasting all of our time. Another thing with these competitions this season, you know, this is a season with a new competition developer from past seasons. This is this developer's first season, and we've seen not a whole lot of true or false questions or questions like that of the past, and also less crapshoots, which I think is a reason that Michael is winning so many competitions like this so early into the season, because to break the record at Final 7 is impressive, but it also speaks to the fact that these competitions aren't as random as seasons past. And as somebody who makes a lot of crapshoot competitions, it makes for a more interesting season. And it is another reason why this end game is so boring, because we're just seeing if Michael wins out or not, basically, is the story of this end game. The other story, though, is the jury, and another kind of good game move from Michael here is that he wants to call out Terrence at the veto ceremony, because he knows the jury will get to see it, because the jury gets to see ceremonies. And he wants to basically kind of give a preemptive strike to see the jury see that he knows that Terrence wants to poison the jury against him. It's a smart move by Michael to try and get one up on Terrence before Terrence gets to do what he wants to do in the jury. I still contend, though, that Terrence's argument is very strong once he tries to turn the jury against Michael. I mean, I guess Kyle will be a key in how the jury sees that whole situation between Kyle, Michael, and Brittany and the almost silent majority alliance. I also had a question in the comments on yesterday's video by Gordon asking about, did Michael ask Terrence to get rid of Joseph before the split house? If so, why did Terrence never say this to Monty and Taylor? And, you know, there was a conversation during Dyer Fest that it seemed like Terrence was alluding to that situation. And we saw Joseph be kind of bitter towards Michael in one of the exit interviews. But we've never known for sure if that incident actually happened where they cheated with the twist. They weren't supposed to talk to each other, but it was rumored by Spoiler Girl, I think, really, who that they did have that conversation that Michael told Terrence to target Joseph. And then we had a conversation in Dyer Fest during all the feed cuts where it did seem like it was possible, but it's never been, like, we don't know that as a fact whatsoever. We don't know how that actually went down. And the fact that Terrence isn't bringing that up about Michael in the house, one would leave one to believe that it never happened like that. Or, you know, it is Terrence we're talking about here, and Terrence has shown himself to be so bad at this game that maybe he's just not bringing it up because his game IQ is so bad. That is a possibility. But we don't know that as a fact. Anyway, that's about it for today on the feed updates. I think the week will continue to be kind of on the boring side. The end game is kind of limping along. We still have 3 weeks of this damn game. It seems like way too much, to be honest.